welcome to episode 35 of Ion Horror, otherwise known as Season 2, Episode 13. Can you believe it? 35 episodes. Wow. I'm your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davidson. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing good, back in town and jet-lagged.
Yeah, you were visiting the fam for Thanksgiving.
I was back east.
We have to apologize. We took life kind of got in the way between the holidays, and I'm buried in it's awards season. I'm buried in movie screeners, so we actually took a couple of unplanned weeks off, but we're back now, and I always say we're going to try to be more regular, and we always want to.
I mean, we should just start eating Activia, and maybe that will help. Isn't that what the Scream Queen, Jamie Lee Curtis, promotes?
And there he is. You're hearing him talk. Your other host, John Correia. How you doing, John?
Doing well, and always here to remind people that for a period of time, Jamie Lee Curtis reminded us that she has irregular pooping habits.
You look a little different today. You look a little older. What's going on today with you?
Do I? Oh.
Yeah. It's Correia's birthday. He's recording at 8 a.m. on his birthday. Talk about dedication. See, I was just talking about how we were slackers, but this dude, he's coming through.
I think this is actually the first birthday in like 5 years that I'm not working, because I would always work on my birthdays, but have the next day off,
Well, the next day is the important one.
Yeah. Well,
that's the one you want off. Yeah.
I have
It's
kind
of cool to work on your birthday because depending on where you work and maybe what set you were on, they'll make a big deal of it. They might get you a cake if you're popular. They'll sing to you. They're nice to you.
Oh yeah. Well, last year was nice because we were in an office at that point, so it was just like they just bought me really nice ramen, so that was great. This year though, jam-packed with festivities. I mean, today's the last day of the Evil Dead exhibit at the Bearded Lady Mystic Museum, so I'm going to that.
Nice.
And Midsummer Scream is having a pop-up like Halloween or not Halloween, horror like shopping thing down in Hollywood. So it's like, oh shit, everything's happening. And the Krampus run is today, so I have to miss one of these things.
Oh,
Too many activities.
Yeah. Not enough time. Lots of space for activities, not enough time for them though.
Well, I'm kind of glad we're all in Southern California. It's kind of a gloomy, maybe rainy day today, and I'm kind of glad because I'm in the San Diego Film Critics Society, and we submitted our nominations Thursday, and they were announced yesterday, and we vote Monday, which we are recording this on Saturday, December 7th. You guys will hear this in about a week. And I have nothing to do today but sit around and watch movies, which is good because I have a little bit of cramming to do.
Yeah, you do.
It's going to be fun. Mainly, my big blind spot was animated, so I have 3 of our 5 animated nominations that I have to cram through today. But no big. But none of that is horror. We're going to talk about horror because that's the name of the podcast. What have you guys been doing this since we talked last, which was like a month ago?
Oh shit! Let me pull up my Letterboxd.
I always do that too with Letterboxd. Jacob knows off the top of his head. Go first.
Yeah, I got some horror activities to report on because I love visiting for Thanksgiving because I get to spend time with my family, and also because I get to go to the archive, the headquarters of one of my favorite labels, Vinegar Syndrome.
Were you there for the Black Friday sale?
I was.
Nice.
And I got some crazy ass movies, and this one is really gonna blow John's mind. I got Tammy and the T-Rex.
Did you get the 4K? Did you get the 4K?
No, I just got the regular Blu-ray.
I'm waiting for my 4K to come in. I don't have a 4K player, but I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, that was my thing. I don't have a 4K player, so I didn't really see the point. And I mean, and I was like, I mean, I love Tammy and the T-Rex. I just didn't think I needed to get that much of an upgrade for it.
Now, for a guy who doesn't know much about this kind of stuff, do 4K discs, will they play in regular Blu-ray players, or do they come with a Blu-ray as well?
No, they come with the Blu-ray usually. So that's what they did with Tammy, and so it's 4K and a Blu-ray disc.
So it's sort of like Blu-ray versus DVD. All the early Blu-rays came with a DVD, so you could watch it if you didn't. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Which is awesome because a lot of because I do own not a lot but a few 4K discs, and they do come with the Blu-ray. So for now I can still watch them and stuff. But like once I'm waiting for more boutique Blu-rays to start, or publishers like Vinegar Syndrome, Criterion, Kino, all of them to jump to 4K before I invest in a TV.
It's all over when Criterion starts doing 4K.
Oh, dude, they're ready for it because they've been doing 4K transfers for a year now. So it's like, once they start producing that, first of all, the wallet's going to get hit hard. I
was going to say, can you imagine? Because list price on Criterion stuff is $40 already. Can you imagine 4K is going to be probably 60 or 70?
No, I think. Well, I mean, it depends because lately they've been averaging around 30, like 20 between $25 and $30.
Yeah.
You have to find them on sale. List price on them is $39.99.
Yeah.
And then if you hit the half off sale, they're $20 each.
I get them used, and I get them for like 17.
Okay.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, no, although the other thing I want to add is that John, for those who remember, John and I actually saw the Beyond Fest premiere of the uncut Taming the T-Rex at Beyond Fest a couple months back, and it melted our minds.
It was beautiful.
It is simultaneously one of the dumbest yet most genius movies I think I have ever seen.
I have never been so confused and so excited at the same time, like, except for maybe when I was a kid. You know when you get like that really like excitement over like, I don't know, like a light up yo-yo and you're just like freaking the fuck out? That gif of the kid eating the cotton candy, that was Tammy and the T-Rex. Just confused and excited.
Yeah, just because the tone is so weird because it's kind of like a family comedy or something with like kind of, but at the same time there's this hard R ultra violence with the T-Rex like ripping people to shreds with all the blood and gore. So it's a very silly movie, but at the same time it's extremely violent and gory and dark.
And Denise Richards gives Paul Walker's brain in a jar like the worst lap dance ever recorded. Like, just horrible.
Yeah, we've been wanting to revisit it since we saw it, just because after we watched it, we were like, did that just happen? Did what we see was real? Yeah,
that's definitely going to need a revisit real quick with a drink or two or something.
And speaking of what the fuckery, the crown jewel of Vinegar Syndrome's Black Friday sale was Spookies.
Spookies.
Yeah, just like one of the holy grails of not really lost horror, but like it's just kind of jumbled horror. Because for those who don't know, basically Spookies was this like jam-packed with practical effects horror movie from the 80s, but it was a troubled production, and like basically it was half finished, and somebody else came in and tried to round it up with like additional footage, but it's got all this great creature effects, and the rights were such a mess nobody thought it would ever get an actual release. But kudos to Vinegar Syndrome because they managed to keep it a secret that they made a 4K transfer of Spookies for Blu-ray, and it looks goddamn phenomenal. And they actually included 2 making of documentaries about it, and just what a night horror it was to make this horror movie.
Oh man, I can't wait. I have to wait patiently because everything's going to be coming in the mail, but.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
You weren't first in line at the archive on Black Friday, so you have to wait.
Pretty much.
You took your mother, right, Jacob?
Oh, yes. I actually went with my mom.
It was a family affair.
It was. Well, like we were together, and the family was together, and we figured. Just might as well go check it out together.
Is your mom a horror fan? Does she like horror movies?
Yeah, she is. She, funnily enough, I think she kind of got me into horror. Like she let me watch stuff, or even encouraged me to watch horror movies, and so she does. She says she doesn't quite understand a lot of stuff with. Like I was talking about with the Vinegar Syndrome titles, but she appreciates it. And also, she likes the archive because they sell music, like they got LPs and stuff, so she was checking that out.
Nice.
Yeah, so Vinegar Syndrome brings families together.
Yeah.
And we watched Dolomite Is My Name just before the archive, and they had all the Rudy Ray Moore movies. So I was actually showing them to her, and she was like, "He made the Disco Godfather."
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I actually picked up the Dolomite sequel, The Human Tornado.
Human Tornado is so good.
It is so good. I saw it at a double feature with Dolomite Is My Name at the New Bev, and yeah, the family and I were going to try and watch it, but we just didn't have enough time. But now we're all Dolomite fans.
Please tell me you picked up Petey Wheatstraw, because
no.
That's Rudy Ray Moore's quote horror film, and it is his best.
And there's a Vincent release of that, isn't there?
Yeah. That's the thing. They released all his major movies. Like they released Dolomite, Human Tornado, Petey Wheatstraw, and the Disco Godfather.
Unfortunately, no return of Dolomite.
There's a return of Dolomite.
Yeah, it was never completed because he was like trying to make it. It would be right before he passed, but hopefully someday. There's a DVD out there if you contact the person who owns like the things for it, but he's very, I don't know. It's one of those like you gotta go to this spot, and then like you go to this payphone, and then someone calls you when you're there. It's a whole thing.
It does sound like a whole thing.
We're getting on a tangent, but let's I'm going to bring a soft back to horror, because this isn't really horror, but have you guys seen Knives Out?
Yes.
Of course.
Oh my God. So
Brilliant.
good. I mean, we don't want to say too much about it because it is
like best we say as little as possible.
Yeah. But if you like Agatha Christie, you will love Knives Out. It's just so clever, so fresh, so sharp.
Yeah.
And that's not a pun on knives.
And
sharp.
And just and in a lot of ways it kind of reminded
to the point.
Oh. You get that because it's your birthday, John. But
I get one bad joke off an episode.
Yeah, no, like I was always a big fan of Rian Johnson's first movie, Brick. So like it kind of gave me a similar vibe. So it was pretty cool to watch that. Just kind of his take on a certain subgenre.
And can I just say that is quite possibly the best ensemble cast.
Oh, absolutely.
Ever assembled.
Oh my God. Yeah, just
everyone.
There's not a weak link. Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, Daniel Craig is basically the Hercule Poirot of the thing. Chris Evans, you got Captain America in this movie.
Don Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Don Johnson. Yes, Don Johnson will just like stroll into these movies like he did the same thing with Django Unchained. It's like, is that Don Johnson?
Oh yeah,
That is Don Johnson.
Fucking Don Johnson. Oh yeah, I think Daniel Craig. Mostly just because his southern, he keeps trying to do southern accents, and it's always weird, but it works. Like his bad southern accent really worked for this, especially since like they do call him out for sounding like Foghorn Leghorn, which made me happy. But
I think it's funny because he reminded me of the Willem Dafoe character in American Psycho, because people would tell him stuff and he'd go, "Well, that's not what I heard. That's not the information I received." And he did sound like Foghorn Leghorn.
Good old Southern gentleman.
Yeah, Knives Out's cool. And another thing that I saw that I'm a little late to the game, but have you guys both seen Parasite?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite film of the year, possibly decade.
That's another one that is just, you don't want to say too much about it, but it is, it's just so sharply written. And it's like, just when you think you know what's going on, you're like, holy shit, did that just happen?
I know people use like the comparison of it's a roller coaster ride, but it truly is.
It is.
Like 1 second you're laughing your ass off, and then almost immediately you're in complete shock and horror. And then the next it's just like, it just keeps doing these flips. And it's like, it's not one of those movies where it's like twist, twist, twist. It's more just flips, tonally, plot-wise, just everywhere. It's just like going back and forth, and it just says so much about so many things, and it's just so beautifully done.
That's a good way to put it. It doesn't have twists; it has flips.
Yeah, and I do have to say I agree that it's perhaps one of the best, political, social messaged movie of the year. I actually watched this interview with Jung Boon-ho because he was saying, like he intended the movie to be filmed based on South Korean society, but when he saw the international response, because one of the major themes of the movie is the major wealth gap and wealth disparity in society, he said something along the lines of talking to all these international audiences who loved and appreciated the movie, I realized we all live under one nation, capitalism.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is so applicable to American society right now, but it's a South Korean movie.
Yeah.
So, it's one nation.
One nation under a groove.
Consume.
What else has been going on? Are we going to move on to our subgenre?
Oh, I'm going to be real quick.
Okay.
There hasn't been a lot of horror I've seen in theaters lately, but I finally watched the remake to Willard. And
nice.
I was very happy with that. That was really solid. But I just have to mention that in the movie they used the song from Ben a lot, the sequel to the original Willard, the song that Michael Jackson wrote and performed when he was like, I don't know, early teens, like very young. And the song's about a relationship between a child and a rat being best friends. And for the remake, Crispin Glover not only covers it, but he directed a music video for it. And I just need to spread the word that this music video exists. It's on YouTube. Look it up. It is weird because, of course, Crispin Glover directed it. But it also has Arlie Ermy playing every male character in the music video that isn't Crispin Glover. And if you get the Scream Factory Blu-ray, Crispin Glover actually does commentary for it, which most of it is him plugging his feature films that he directs. But there's just one point where he's like, yeah, Arlie Ermy plays every man here. Here he is playing this man who's inspired by this. And then there's just like one in the background. He's like, oh yeah, and there's Arlie Ermy looking like Hitler. We didn't intend for him to look like Hitler, but he ended up looking like Hitler, so now he looks like Hitler. And then it just like keeps going. And it was just like, what the? So what I'm trying to say, people, is don't only see the Willard remake, because it is pretty good. It is pretty good. But also watch the music video if you ever wanted to see Arlie Ermy dressed up as Hitler, because that's a thing.
Why not?
There's one more thing I want to bring up that is just for awards viewing I saw. It's kind of horror adjacent, but Uncut Gems.
Ooh.
You guys seen Uncut Gems?
No, but I've heard really good things.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's not for everybody. It's the Safdie brothers who did Good Time a couple years
what's
back.
It about?
With the,
yeah.
It's basically Adam Sandler's this jewel dealer who comes across this I think it's a black opal, and basically, long story short, everyone wants this black opal, and it's ultra violent, and it's, I mean, every other word is an F-bomb. I mean, it's basically an anxiety attack on film. It is, the way that it is cut, it's cinematic chaos, but it works. And I'm never going to be able to look at Adam Sandler as, freaking Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore ever again after seeing him in this. This is going to do for Adam Sandler what 1 Hour Photo did for Robin Williams. He's turned a corner. He's not going to be able to go back to making stupid comedies and still be that effective anymore. He's going to be taken seriously as an actor. It's crazy. And Kevin Garnett has a cameo as himself, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. Anyway, Netflix is killing it this season between The Irishman, Marriage Story, and Dolomite. Dolomite is my name.
Yeah.
Netflix is, I wouldn't be surprised if they come home with a slew of Oscars. Marriage Story, not even remotely horror unless you're a child of divorce. It is heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I actually saw that while I was visiting my dad. So that was an interesting experience.
Well, when I saw Marriage Story, all I could do for like 10 or 15 minutes afterwards was sit in my car and sob. It's not a tearjerker, but it's just a real heavy emotional movie. Yeah. But anyway, it's not even remotely horror, so let's move on to our subgenre. What do we got, Jacob?
Subgenre.
Yeah, subgenre of the episode. Since we're celebrating John's birthday, I figured why not celebrate all horror birthday movies, like movies that center around or feature in some way like a birthday or birthday party which surprisingly comes up quite often in a lot of horror movies. So,
Yeah. What's that reminder that you're one step closer to death in it?
yeah. So, in that regard, why don't we start off with the easiest one? Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You.
Yep.
I know, John, you're not a fan, but I feel like it's the one we got to start off with.
It's his birthday.
I was
Why'd
honored.
you do it to
I was honored to have a subgenre dedicated to me almost, and then I remembered. Oh fuck, we're gonna have to talk about those movies. You guys ready for one positive thing about the Happy Death Day movies?
Let's hear it.
Lizzo does a cover of "Staying Alive" for Happy Death Day to You, and it's really good.
Yeah,
that's my one positive thing about that series.
I as far as Groundhog Day clones go, I like the Happy Death Day movies. The first one I thought was good because it was basically just a bunch of different slasher movies, short little slasher movies. It was almost like an anthology, because enough changed with each wake up that you got a completely different story. So I like those movies.
And I do like the design of the babyface killer. Just because, like, if I was like in an alley or a room and something, and some dude walked up to me wearing that thing, it scared the shit out of me.
It's one of those masks that's so innocent that it's creepy.
Yeah.
Because it's, oh, look, it's a cute baby. But yeah, you're right. If you saw someone in an alley wearing it, you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going the other way.
Yes. Yeah. And going to the 80s, I feel like talking about both of these well worth it. Bloody Birthday and Happy Birthday to Me.
Oh, happy birthday to me.
I love Bloody Birthday. Bloody Birthday is, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically, there's like a comet or a meteor or something came too close to the Earth.
Yeah, it's like a meteor.
And every kid who was born on that particular date has these homicidal tendencies. And you get... And the kids that are in it are like, they're not huge name stars, but they're like Ricky's best friend from Silver Spoons and stuff, and they're, so if you ever want to see like these, mid-range child stars from the 80s killing people, Bloody Birthday is your jam.
Yeah, Bloody Birthday actually kind of disturbed me because, they play some of the stuff for comedy, but yeah, it's like these three kids, they're like all like 10 or under or whatever, and they're just total monsters. They just like killing animals and killing people. They just really love killing, and
it's pretty brutal too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The kills are not, it's unflinching.
And then Happy Birthday to Me,
Canucksploitation at its finest.
It's just your classic like slasher clone, but instead, like, the big twist of it, spoiler alert, it's not like the killer is wearing like a hockey mask or something. They're wearing like an ultra realistic prosthetic mask to look like another person.
The final girl, like
the final. So like the big twist was the final girl was the killer, right?
No, it was the reverse. Like basically they set up to make it seem like the final girl was the killer, but it was actually someone else who was wearing an ultra realistic mask of the final girl to make it seem like she was the killer and driving her insane. But
and it was a total Scooby-Doo unmasking.
Yeah.
Zoinks.
Oh yeah, because for most of the movie it's like this really solid like slasher ripoff clone, and then like it just has this ending where it's like, haha, I made this mask to set you up and drive you insane, and it's like, wait, what the fuck is going on? It's such a, like, they handle it so weird that it was confusing and awesome.
It has some of the most creative kills ever too.
Oh, the skewer?
Yeah, the skewer and the motorcycle. Like, yes. Basically, I remember that was the one because, having seen just, like Halloween, Friday the 13th, it's kind of a contemporary of those. But when, you're watching this one, you're like, oh, dude, this killer is not just slice and dicing. He's getting creative.
Yeah, let's go for it.
The kebab kill is so iconic, they put it on the poster.
Yep.
And because I brought it up earlier, I want to bring it up again. Spookies is a birthday movie because not sure if you guys have seen it, but like there's this kind of opening subplot with like this little kid runs away from home because he's pissed off that his parents forgot his birthday, so he wanders to like the haunted mansion where all the weirdness is happening, and there's a birthday set up for him, and like there's a cake and balloons and and it does have a kind of schlocky jump scare where like he's or like this toy robot's kind of following him around the birthday party, and like he opens his presents and it's the head of the evil undead wizard who's like setting up all this shit, and he just goes, "Happy birthday, Billy."
What?
I swear to God.
I'm so excited for this Blu-ray to come in. How dare you, Jacob, make me this much more impatient?
Speaking of batshit crazy birthdays, have you guys seen The Sentinel?
Yes.
No.
That is one of my favorites.
A guy throws a birthday party for his cat.
Yeah.
It's this little tuxedo cat named Jezebel, and there's a birthday party. And you could find pictures of the scene on the internet. This cat has a birthday hat on and is sitting at a table with a cake.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And Burgess Meredith is just like singing for the cat and shit.
Wow.
Oh, that's my favorite birthday. My favorite cinematic birthday party is for Jezebel the cat in The Sentinel.
Now, I have to say, my favorite cinematic birthday, after The Sentinel, of course, has to go to The Omen. Because isn't that just like...
Oh, yes.
The best present you can get is someone just, proclaiming their ever devotion to you before just totally ruining your birthday. Like, who can't relate?
It's all for you, Damien. It's all for you.
God. How many kids got traumatized, not only at the party, but watching it on screen?
Oh, God.
I remember the first time I watched it, I was like 12 or 13, and just like, as soon as like that knot tightened and like she goes through the window, I almost shit myself. I was just in complete shock. Like, oh man, talk about scenes that just like stick with you. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's another legendary one. I mean, you're talking about the kebab kill, but that scene from The Omen is up there too.
Just the look in her eyes when she's yelling, "It's all for you, Damien," is just it gets under your skin.
She's so happy.
Yeah.
And related to the horror coming from gifts instead of the birthday itself, there's Child's Play, both the original and the remake, which just goes to show what happens when you get the wrong gift for a birthday party.
Which I got the remake on Blu-ray and rewatched it again, and I gotta say I'm having more and more fun with the remake the more I watch it.
Yeah,
like it really is more of like a comedy that gets real twisted towards the end. It's not an amazing film, but you know what? It's a lot of fun.
No, I mean, like, I really enjoyed it, and to be honest, I kind of like the premise of the remake better than the original. Don't get me wrong, I love Chucky and Brad Dourif, but just, the whole voodoo serial killer thing just got very convoluted and weird. I just like the idea that, like, this toy has gone haywire, and it's not so much that it's homicidal. It's just that it's programmed to love the kid that owns it. Just the problem is it loves him so much it's willing to kill for him.
Well, his switch is set to evil.
yes. There's your problem here, Pelly. Somebody set this thing to evil.
Well, I mean, also, but let's be honest. The opening when they show why Chucky became that way in the remake is pretty fucking convoluted. Of just basically being like, I'm taking all the safety things off, and it really is just like a very long scene of him going, I'm putting on the evil switch.
But also, who does that? Like, when you get fired from a job like that, they don't go, as soon as you finish that one, they escort you out.
Well, that's why it's a comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've actually had, my sales job did that to me. They were like, you can finish up your day now. I was like, oh no, you fired me before traffic happens. I'm going to head out now. And they're like, oh, you don't want to finish your calls? I'm like, why?
Yeah, John,
killed all my leads. I was watching Willow at my desk. Get out of here.
All right, let's move on to our topic, which I'm going to let Correia introduce because he kind of understands what we're going to be talking about a little more than I do. So take it away.
Yes. So, I mean, we've seen some major shifts in how we consume films over the last 10 years. Hey, this is my TED Talk. We're going to go real, let's go back 15 years. No, today we're going to talk about streaming. Very simple. Or is it? You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with it. Because it's changed how we consume content. It's changed how content gets distributed. And it's a pretty major part. I mean, even, you know, hardcore physical media collectors like myself still do a lot of like digital collection and streaming. And there's a lot of good that comes with it, a lot of bad, and there's some like pretty ugly shit that comes with it too. So I just wanted to like kind of cover this, especially what it means for our beloved genres, you know. So to start off, let's discuss some of the good stuff. I mean, streaming, very simply, accessibility, right?
Yes,
I mean,
that is the big one.
We can go on Netflix and peruse for hours under the horror subgenre. We can, you know, there's like 20 different like ways or streaming things, but most importantly, we have Shudder, which is the holy mecca of horror streaming services, and that's awesome.
Well, and also like the digital codes that come with movies that you buy, you put those into your Vudu account, and then you're at work with some downtime, you know, you're there, you know, you can just go and watch your movie.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Especially with my field coordinating work, like I find myself in the middle of like nowhere, Georgia, just sitting in a van watching Child's Play on my phone. You know, it's nice to have those little breaks, and you can take it mobilely, which is much easier than walking around with a disc player, you know, and a small TV or
and all your discs.
Yeah. They don't really make portable Blu-ray players. It's still only really a DVD thing. But yeah. So it's accessibility, and not only that, but like the pricing usually is really cheap. I mean, Shudder is like less than $10 a month,
like
and
$5
it's
a month.
more than worth it. I'm going to keep plugging Shudder. We're not sponsored by Shudder, but we just
love them so much.
But I think all three of us pay for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if Shudder, if you want to bro us,
no, I'm more than happy to pay for that. Yeah.
They'll lose 3 customers then because we all pay for it already.
I mean, and it's not only accessibility to a bunch, but it's also highlighting a lot of like hidden gems. Like Jacob, you talked about Dial Code Santa Claus not too long ago. That's on Shudder now.
Yeah.
And so there's all these, so everyone can get that. Or there's some titles where maybe the Blu-ray is out of print and it's on there, and that's great. We have this accessibility that we've never had before. It's like going to the video store, just having unlimited choices.
Yeah, like I go on Prime Video just to deep dive for stuff I've never seen before, and you know, sometimes I find good stuff. Like like one of my favorite discoveries on Prime, because you know, just is kind of such a dumping ground, was I found this slasher movie called The Carpenter with Wings Hauser.
Oh yeah,
The Carpenter with Wings Hauser. And you know, on top of that, you know, there's stuff like monsters, like horror streaming series is also makes it more convenient, you know, because you know, like series are harder to own, like it's more expensive or harder to find. Like all the Twilight Zone is on like Netflix and Hulu. There's a bunch of Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes on Netflix. So
speaking of dumped to Amazon, have any of you guys watched the Bad Ben series of movies?
No,
I've heard of them.
Okay. These are they're not good. They're pretty bad movies, but they were all done by this one dude, and there's like 6 of them, and they're pretty short watches. They're like maybe an hour 10, and it's just kind of fascinating because it's basically a dude who sets up a camera, and it's a found footage. It's like a Paranormal Activity kind of thing, but it's only him. And I don't even remember the guy's name, which is ludicrous because it's the only credit. But you know, it'll say like, you know, it'll say written by, directed by, you know, camera by, sound by, and it's all the same guy.
Wow.
But it's kind of crazy that this guy can basically. You know, I imagine it's his house. It's always in the same house, but he just sets up these cameras in his house, does some, you know, cheap. I don't even know. You wouldn't really call them visual effects. They're just cheap little camera things that he does. And, like I said, they're not good, but I have watched all 6 of them. They're entertaining enough where you're like, it's not really like a car crash, but you kind of want to see them. You're like, okay, what's the next one going to be about? They're kind of fun, actually. But it's a testament to what someone with a camera can do. I mean, with a little bit of drive and determination.
and that's another great thing is where it's giving platforms to people, whether that's good or bad, to showcase their skills, to showcase, tell their stories. Like that series of films probably would never have gotten any form of distribution if it weren't for Amazon's very lax upload your own stuff for people to watch on their Prime. I mean, I have something on Prime too. So, well,
Prime. I used to work for a subscription channel that had a Prime channel, and it actually was pretty difficult to, not really difficult, but there were hoops to jump through to get stuff uploaded and on Prime. But I guess since then, because there was someone who uploaded a bootleg version of One Cut of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that that since then they've either made it more lax, or there's a back door that people can take to get basically anything uploaded to Prime. But I know when I was doing the Amazon deliveries, it wasn't like that. It was, I mean, you actually had to submit to them, your mezzanine file with your artwork, with your metadata, with, your caption file. I mean, there was a lot of stuff you had to do, and you actually had to have an account to do it. So
yeah. So it's harder to get around and do stuff like that, which is good, because I remember that being a major blow for that movie. A lot of people in the horror community were saying, like, don't stream this on Amazon. It's not legit, and you're taking away money from the filmmakers.
It was only up for like a week, but if you think of all the people that watched it in that week, that's views that they lost from a legit site.
Yeah, which turned out to be Shudder.
Yeah, Shudder has it now, which is the perfect place. I mean, everything like that should end up on Shudder.
Yeah.
And it's also great because it's getting a lot of content greenlit that normally wouldn't. I don't think we would have ever gotten a Creep Show TV show.
Yeah.
On cable.
Oh,
so, stuff like that. Or even just Shudder has a really cool series about horror vinyl. And why would that ever be on cable TV? A documentary series about horror soundtracks on vinyl,
It also allows you to view, just kind of check out a movie before you buy it, because, a lot of times there are movies that come out on Blu-ray DVD, and I'm like, oh man, that sounds like it might be cool to have, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. So, a lot of times it's on streaming around the same time, if not beforehand. So, that way it gives you a chance to give it a watch before you buy a physical copy. So it's kind of, so that, that way you can check it out, and that way, it may get you more interested in the special features or whatever's included in a home video release. Because, you see a movie and it's like, wow, that was really cool. And the Blu-ray's got a making of documentary, and I'd be interested in seeing how that came about.
Streaming is also just so couch centric, because you can just be sitting there, and even though you have the Blu-ray on your shelf, but you've got Roku, you've got the app launched, your Roku's on, you're in Amazon Prime, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna watch, Monster Squad.
I am so guilty of that sometimes.
Same.
Like, I'll just be sitting on the couch and I'll be like going through my Vudu, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should watch this movie that I just bought the Blu-ray for, but the Blu-ray is all the way over there, and then I'd have to go there and then take it. And you know what? Right now, no.
Yeah, no, just like, I could put this Blu-ray in, but then I'd have to take the Blu-ray out that I was watching before and put that away, and then put the new one in, and instead I could just press this button.
Oh, it's worse when I have, like, if the disc in the Blu-ray player is a steelbook, because I put my steelbooks in a protective case. So I'm like, oh, that's like a 5-step process. So guess we're streaming Streets of Fire again.
All right, so I guess we can count that one as a good or a bad, depending on how out of shape you are. So let's transition to the bad then. What do you got, Correia?
It enables Sloth.
It enables
Sin.
That's it's an enabler for bad habits. Well, there's your basic ones. I mean, if you don't have internet, you can't stream shit. That's a pretty obvious one. If you have,
or if your internet goes down, you're
right.
Yeah,
you're crippled. You're like, I can't watch any of my movies. Yeah.
If you have bad, the streaming service might just be down that day. You know, those are some pretty basic stuff that, like, honestly, I don't really, in this day and age, don't really encounter as much as we used to. But when I think of the bad parts of streaming, there's some, like, really, some people can see it as being nitpicky, but it has a much larger effect. There's certain things like they could say, oh, we have the complete series of something, and there'd be missing episodes. We're going to talk about The Simpsons a lot. It's not horror, but it's very relevant because they took off.
Show me a horror fan that doesn't like The Simpsons, though. So it is relevant.
Yeah. Those are very rare to find.
There's probably like a bunch of people going, me right now, or yelling at us through their headphones.
Yeah. We see you, Josh. I know his name is Josh, whoever's doing that. But I'm sure that guy's freaked out right now. Could you imagine that? But when it came to The Simpsons, especially when the controversy surrounding, I think it was Michael Jackson, they took off that episode featuring him off of all the streaming services. So
and not only did they just pull it from the streaming services, if you owned that season on, say, Vudu, they went into your library and took it. And that is shady. It's like, it's one thing if you don't want to offer it anymore, like on Netflix or Prime or wherever you're watching your Simpsons, but for them to actually Indian give it, you know, you bought and you paid for that episode, and now they're like, oh, just kidding. That is shady.
And that's the thing, that when it comes to it too, is that they can go in and take out at any time, because you don't actually own the movie. You're essentially renting the license from them. So as long as they have the license for it, you have it. And it's the same with music too. I mean, I know Lady Gaga pulled Do What You Want off of Art Pop from all streaming services, whether you paid for it or not. So that's another case of that. But they can go in. A lot of people who redeemed early digital codes, what's known as XMLs, you know, through iTunes and whatnot, those have been recently, a lot of them have been downgraded to standard definition, even though they've been in high definition for a long time. So that's like essentially someone coming into your house and going, oh, I'm going to take this Blu-ray. Here's a DVD, you know? They can't do that because it's physical copy. At any time, they can take off special features. At any time, they can take your movie. You'll still have the movie, but they'll edit out a scene. But at the end of the day, if you have a physical copy, no one can fuck with that unless they like come over and like scribble all over your disc.
Well, that works the other direction too, though, because Vudu had a sale months back where they were selling Masters of Horror season 1 and 2, which those are the only seasons there are. Season 3 was Fear itself, and season 2, they were selling the seasons, and there's like 13 episodes each season for I think $6.99.
Yeah,
and the season 2 though was missing 4 or 5 episodes, so it was only like a 6-season package.
I remember,
but there were gaps in the listing, and I actually just rolled the dice and I bought both of them. And a couple weeks later, the missing episode showed up in my season 2.
And that's because enough people gave guff about it, you know?
You think so? Or you don't think it was just a delay in licensing? You think it was enough people complaining? I think they may have had a delay in licensing those particular episodes, especially with something like Masters of Horror, where there are so many signatures that are needed because so many, for lack of a better word, so many egos are involved. I'm not saying the Masters of Horror filmmakers have egos, but there's a lot of management, because these are not just starving filmmakers. These are your Don Coscarellis and your Larry Cohens.
Yeah. And it wasn't just, a TV series. They were like full productions too.
And it was on Showtime too, which is another signature they need.
Right. And then on top of that, Lionsgate probably also, because they're the ones that distribute it. on home video as well, and they released them separately before putting them together. There's a lot of like red tape when it comes to stuff like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was a mixture of both. If they were like, not really going for it with the licensing, but then they dropped the price and suddenly a lot of people were voicing it, so they were like, oh, okay, we should probably like speed this process up a bit more,
But there were gaps. It would say like, season 2, episode 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 11, and you're like, okay, now there are holes for these episodes, and sure enough, they filled the holes, which I was really happy because I did roll the dice and I bought it incomplete. And then they popped in and I was like stoked. I was like, yes. When it went from 6 episodes to 13, I was like, yeah.
And now we can stream Takashi Miike's imprint anywhere and just make everyone in the room uncomfortable or on the bus. Nothing's better than watching that on the bus.
I got another example though, like with the whole Disney Plus thing. Because did either of you guys ever watch that show Gravity Falls?
No.
It's that cartoon, but it kind of had a bit of a horror bent. It was on Hulu streaming for the longest time, but then Disney Plus came around, so they pulled it. And, now it's on Disney Plus. I mean, it was to be expected, but, that's the thing, just like basically anything streaming could have a potential expiration date due to any number of reasons. And also on top of that, I think there were some edits to the show on Disney Plus, like some weird edits, stuff they may have been offensive or something, I don't know. But that's why when, even the threat of it leaving Hulu, like I think it was before they said it was officially going to Disney Plus or whatever, Shout Factory was offering a sale on the Blu-rays DVD, just being like, hey, this may not be streaming, so we're doing a sale on the Blu-ray DVD version. So I jumped on that, and I'm happy I did because, now it's on Disney Plus, and I'm not really sure in what form, and like I said, or like you were saying, like if you own it on disc, you own it, so you don't have to worry about it getting messed with or, not having access to it.
Well, I've heard that Disney Plus has been editing obviously they're not going to show Song of the South ever, but I've heard that they've been going through and taking out bits that have not aged well, and I don't know because I don't have Disney Plus.
Some stuff. It's like,
have they been?
It's like little things like for movies like Dumbo, which have very scenes that have not aged well at all, like
because it was made in the 30s, I think.
They put up a disclaimer at the beginning, which is something that Warner Brothers has done a lot with their Looney Tunes collections, where they put up a thing like saying, hey, I think Warner Brothers handled it better because Disney just goes, this is a product of its time. There's some stuff that's like not cool anymore. And Warner Brothers actually went, through a whole explanation being like, hey, this is a product of its time. This was acceptable back then. We're still going to include it in this because this needs to be discussed. This needs to be learned from on what not to do anymore. Like they were owning up to their mistakes, which is something that Whoopi Goldberg is like, been asking for years with Song of the South, being like, you're still making money off of an amusement park ride based off this. You're still making money off of Zippity Doodah, and you're not going to like have an open discussion about why this film is so controversial. That's, taking knowledge away from, the public about it.
Well, it is a catchy song.
It's a super catchy song. And Splash Mountain rules. Like Splash Mountain's really cool. But also, I do own a bootleg of Song of the South, and I have to say,
it's cringy.
Boy.
It's pretty crazy. It's that's like you can easily see the controversy from a mile away.
Oh man.
But going back to some good things that what they like Jacob was saying with as a bad that it can be edited, but also to kind of flip it with Disney Plus, they do have Gargoyles on it. Complete series, uncut, uncensored, including the controversial episode from season 1 where one of the gargoyles picks up a gun, doesn't really know what it is, and accidentally shoots a human, which only aired like a couple times on TV and had since been taken out. And episodes would play on Disney and Disney XD with edited scenes, but it's on that streaming service uncensored. So, I mean, there's good and bad when it comes to that, but another big thing is fucking aspect ratios, man. Like,
now you're getting into the ugly.
oh, this is so ugly. And we're talking about Simpsons again, but it's not just Simpsons. The same thing was happening with Buffy too. Because when Buffy got their HD transfers, listen, guys, TV was 4:4, right? It was 4:6,
4:3. 4:3.
4:3 aspect ratio. It was shot like that. A lot of it was shot like that. And it was definitely presented like that, especially 90s shows.
Well, tube TVs were 4:3. I mean, it was almost a square. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when you have shows from the 90s and they get these new restorations or HD transfers, if they're lazy and they want to just make it widescreen, what they do is they punch in. So you're missing stuff in the top and bottom frame. And it's for some shows like Simpsons where there's a lot of visual gags, you can cut out some of those gags. But more so, it's just cutting a lot out of the frame. So suddenly, instead of having good headspace with a character, you're suddenly like their forehead's gone. And it's just weird, and it shouldn't be presented like that. It should be presented as it was intended, and that's a major thing that Disney is going to fix in 2020. They said that they're going to restore all the Simpsons back to their original aspect ratio, but that's the thing, is that they don't have to do that. They could have just kept it and been like, all right, yeah, go fuck yourself, we're doing this, because that's what happened with Buffy. All the early seasons with reruns on TV were in that new widescreen because they can say, oh, it's in widescreen and HD, but you're cutting off a lot of information that's happening there. Mm-hmm. And for me, as a former projectionist, aspect ratio is fucking important as hell. So don't mess with that.
All right. What else have we talked to death streaming, or we got anything else? I know you just wanted to go after aspect ratios, so we pretty much have climaxed.
Originally, this rant was just going to be about aspect ratios, but then these two were like, listen, John, you can't just talk about aspect ratios for
Let's
a half
talk about
hour.
them stealing our Michael Jackson's episode of The Simpsons. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for coming to talk to John's TED Talk.
Yeah, aspect ratio. So next time you shoot, just remember, we don't need to do 4:3 anymore.
All right, well, let's wrap this up and get on with our gloomy, rainy days. Our music is Restless Spirit, who are plugging along, and so go check them out. Our artwork was by Chris Fisher, so go check him out. Me, James J. Edwards, you can find on the Twitters at Cinema Ferite. That's like verite, but with fear, so it's Fearite. Where can we find you guys on the Twitter, Jacob?
You can find me on Twitter at Jacob Davison _. That is at JACOBDAVISON _. You can also find my horror anthology series Dead Time Stories on iTunes and Google Play.
The new episode is all you too. The was it last broadcast or last words?
Oh yeah, last broadcast. That was a fun one. I was also very proud of my haunted movie theater episode, The Sunset Metropolis.
Oh yeah, the Sunset Metropolis. Yeah, that one was a few weeks back too. We really haven't talked in a while, have we?
It's been a busy Thanksgiving.
Correia, where can they find you?
Hey, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIAN BBQ. You can also catch me on iHorror's Stardust account. And more importantly, Kelly is back posting reviews on there. So if you miss her, she was definitely one of our best guests we've had. I mean, we've only had a couple, but...
I was going to say, and Waylon was pretty best, too. So our guests are better than the hosts on this show.
Mm-hmm. Kelly and Waylon were definitely top three. Definitely top three guests we've had.
Kelly and Waylon should have their own podcast and just forget about us.
Don't put us out of business. That would be too good. Fuck, that would be a podcast I would actually listen to.
Yeah, I would too.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, because I famously don't listen to podcasts. Whoops.
I do all the time.
Yeah.
Because I have a commute.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a commute. I mostly just re-listen to the same, 5 CDs that are stuck in my CD player all the time.
Stuck in it? Because you're too lazy to open the trunk and change them out of the changer?
No, my CD player doesn't work a lot, so it's just all right, I guess I'm listening to the Streets of Fire soundtrack again.
Ah, hey.
Which, for those who are at home counting, yes, that is 2 times today that I've referenced Streets of Fire. So
hey.
Yeah, pull off that hat trick.
Hey, yeah, it's my birthday. I can bring up Streets of Fire.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
All right, let's get out of here because Correia's got birthdaying to do. I got movie watching to do, and I don't know what's on Jacob's agenda, but I'm sure it's something fun.
Well, I'm cleaning my apartment and hunkering down in my home video bunker because I got to wait out the streaming wars.
Yeah, that's that's not as much fun. But okay, we're out of here. For me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correia.
Keep your eye on horror.